update a little earlier in the week, this week, because we want to finish our review of the 2024 WAGOP platform with our quick discussion of the last two sections, sections 17 and 18. And I wanted to get it done before our state primary election day, which is tomorrow, August 6th. So if you haven't voted yet, I hope you have voted already, but if you haven't voted yet, you can vote until 8 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday. And I hope you will drop your ballot off in a ballot box at this point. In my opinion, the last few days of the election cycle, whatever the election is, it's too late to put it in the mail. I recommend you find a ballot box, either one run by your county or one by a private organization like a church or a retail shop, and drop it off at a trusted ballot box rather than in the mail. Anyway, let's get to our discussion of the last two sections of the 2024 Washington GOP party platform that was passed in Spokane a few months ago at our state convention. Sections 17 and 18 of the platform are really the last two, and in some ways, to some people, the most important sections of the whole deal. Section 17 deals with transportation, which is clearly a state government issue, federal too, but clearly one of the priorities of the state government is to maintain the transportation infrastructure of the state. And that means mostly roads and bridges. But in our state, the transportation infrastructure also includes our ferry system. Our transportation budgets pay for our state patrol, and increasingly, our state transportation money pays for light rail and other what's so-called active transportation, bike lanes and things like that. But the real focus of the transportation infrastructure, of course, are roads and bridges and ferries. And we want to make sure, as Republicans, that those essential elements of transportation infrastructure are well maintained, well funded. It's a legitimate purpose of government. Our transportation budget in Washington state, of course, combines money from both the federal government and the state government. It is a smaller budget than our operating budget, two separate budgets, a total of three budgets in the state, of course, operating, transportation, and capital construction. The transportation budget includes both the operational costs of maintaining our transportation systems and the capital costs, the hard infrastructure costs. Some of that is funded by bonds, some of it is funded by cash flow from the state tax system, and some of it's funded by federal taxes. The main thing that we as Washington Republicans want to maintain is that our transportation systems should be ones that make the widest range of choices of transportation available to Washington people. We don't believe in mandating certain kinds of transportation, and we don't believe in banning certain kinds of transportation. On the left side of the political spectrum here in Washington, the radical environmentalists, of course, want to ban internal combustion engines, get rid of all diesel and gas vehicles, mandate electric vehicles in a way that's silly and frankly not practical given the power needs of electric vehicles and the relative fragileness of our electrical grid. We believe that the state's role, the government's role, should be to maintain in a neutral way a vibrant transportation infrastructure so that people can decide how to get around. Businesses can decide the best ways to move their products. And the agriculture industry can keep open its system of shipping, which relies heavily on shipping, water shipping, both from the east side of the state through our system of dams and regulated waterways out to the coast and out to the world. And we want to keep all of that in place. So we're not for pulling dams because they help transport ag products and other products from the eastern part of Washington to the coast of Washington. We're not for banning any kind of vehicle in particularly. We're not for using taxpayer dollars to fund and subsidize other kinds of vehicles. And we want to see more of our money spent on maintaining roads and bridges. That's our transportation agenda. Section 18 of the 2024 platform is one particularly close to my heart. It is our belief, our support of, and our defense of the initiative process. Washington Republicans and common sense conservatives of all sorts here in the state have used the initiative process, our state's initiative process, as a necessary check and balance of what's in recent decades has been a one-party political majority here in Washington. We have used the People's Initiative process, whereby the people of the state can begin a legislative process, begin legislative reform by signing their support, their signatures in support of propositions, proposals, reforms, legislation that might not otherwise get a hearing or a vote in Olympia if the dominant party, the majority party, doesn't like the policy reform. We've seen this come to a fine point just in the last year or so. We're working with groups like Let's Go Washington and Restore Washington and the Washington Tea Room and others. We've been able to get the people behind a series of initiatives, including restoring police pursuits of criminals, establishing the Washington Parents' Bill of Rights, clarifying in law that Washington will not have a state income tax, as well as initiatives that you're going to see on your ballot this November in the general election, an initiative to repeal the disastrous cap and trade tax scheme that Inslee and Ferguson pushed forward. An initiative to repeal the controversial capital gains excise tax, and an initiative to reform the insolvent long-term care benefits scheme that's currently funded by a payroll tax, a state payroll tax taken out of working people's paychecks. We'd like to see all three of those initiatives pass this November, and there's a fourth, the initiative that will restore consumer choice on natural gas for cooking or heating in homes or businesses. These are four great reforms of bad policy mistakes that the state has made, and they started with the people. We put these proposals to the people for their support, and they answered overwhelmingly by signing far more than the minimum required to qualify those four initiatives to get on the ballot this November. You know, the left here in Washington has threatened to take away the initiative process. They would have to do that by a constitutional amendment. Initiatives are protected by the state constitution here in Washington. But they've threatened to try to get rid of initiatives by amending the Constitution. That's undemocratic, non-transparent, and contemptuous of the voice of the people. We, Washington Republicans, believe in the voice of the people. And it's been a wonderful thing to see the initiative process used so effectively in the last couple of years. Section 17 and 18, transportation and protecting the initiative process, are the last two sections of the Washington Republican Party's 2024 platform. We're going to post the complete language of those sections underneath this video, and we'll link to the full text of the 2024 WAGOP platform. I really recommend you read it. It's 18 sections, but it's just about 20 pages. It's a pretty quick read, and it's a very good, strong, and clear statement of what Washington Republicans stand for. If we can implement our 2024 platform into policy in the next year or two, Washington will be a great place to live again. We will fix what's broken. That's it for this week. I look forward to talking with you again next week. We'll know, I hope, the results of our primary elections happening this week. And until then, be well and stay strong.